Hello everyone. In today's class, we are going to understand some of the general characters of Cnidaria. The learning objective of this session is to study the features of Cnidaria, and the outcomes of the session is to be familiarized with some features of Cnidaria, to describe general features of Cnidaria. Let's see what is this Cnidaria. Mm, the word Cnidaria comes from Greek, where nid means nettle, and this name is given to this particular phylum because of the presence of special cells called cnidoblasts. And there is also another name for the same phylum, that is Cnidaria. And the name Cnidaria is given to this particular phylum because of the presence of gastrovascular cavity. Due to the presence of gastrovascular cavity, this particular phylum is also called as Cnidaria, where this cavity is also known as coelenteron. Cele refers to a cavity, enteron here refers to a gut. Okay, so enteron means gut. Since the cavity is going to act like a digestive canal, the cavity is called as coelenteron, and the phylum gets its name as Cnidaria. So here the name Cnidaria is because they have special cells called as cnidoblasts. We will be seeing what are cnidoblasts little later. And the other name Cnidaria is because of the presence of coelenteron, that is the gastrovascular cavity. Now, where do you find them? These coelenterates, almost all the members are aquatic. So, that means they are found in water, and they are mostly marine, and a few of them are freshwater. Freshwater example, Hydra. So, Hydra is a coelenterata that is found in freshwater. And their habitat is, they are mostly colonial, but some are even solitary. Once again, example is Hydra. You can take the example of Hydra or Aurelia jellyfishes. So they are solitary, whereas corals are colonial in their habitat. Now the general features, if we see one by one, their body organization is a cell tissue grade of organization. In one of our previous sessions, we have discussed about the different levels of organization in metazoa. Cell tissue grade of organization is common in Coelenterata. Here we find a very primitive kind of tissue development. Some of the cells, for example nerve tissue, it is developed, at least it appears for the first time in metazoa in case of Coelenterata. So there is some kind of coordination among different cells of a particular organism or an animal's body. So the body organization in this Coelenterata is a cell tissue grade of organization. And if you see the symmetry, that is the arrangement of different structures within the body, in case of Coelenterata, it is radial symmetry. That's why they belong to radiata. Okay, and what is that radial symmetry? I am sure you are familiar with it, but still let me just try to understand it. I mean, at least try to explain it. Now, on the screen we have a picture of image of an animal called as Obelia. So it's a medusa actually, a cup like body form. So here you can cut the animal's body in any plane. See, if you cut in this particular plane, you are going to see two identical halves, superimposable identical halves, you can say. If I cut it in this plane, again this and this, okay, the one which is present on this side and this side, these two are identical in nature. Similarly, you can cut them in different ways, like in this, in this, in this. In any of these planes, if you cut, you are going to get identical half. So usually this is a anterior posterior axis, and the cutting plane should pass through the central point or the central axis of the body. So here, since we are able to get two identical half in any vertical planes passing through the central axis, the symmetry of Coelenterata is radial. Okay, whereas in case of poriferous, they are generally asymmetrical one, with the exception of few anyway. And here too, in case of coelenterata, pennatula is one such exception where the symmetry is bilateral symmetry. That means you can cut them into identical half only in one plane, passing through the central axis, whereas the rest of them, they show radial symmetry. So that's why radiata. Okay. Next, let's see the body structure. So body is generally, it can be cylindrical one, or it can be cup shaped body forms. There are actually two body forms. One is cylindrical body form, which is called as polyp, and then there is a cup like body form called as a medusa. So here, if you take the section of the body, okay, you are going to see that you won't find much complex organization here. As we said, it is a cell and tissue grade of organization. That means you won't find definite organs. Still only there are clusters of cells, there are group of cells which perform different functions, and some of these group of cells coordinate with each other. Okay, they work in coordination. So that's where the concept of tissue comes in case of these members. Now here, the body wall, these animals are called as diploblastic animals. What is a diploblastic animal? An animal where the body is derived from two germ layers. Now what are those germ layers? Ectoderm and endoderm. Okay, if the whole body is derived from, that means all the different cells which are present in the body are either formed from ectoderm or from endoderm. Okay, such a case is called as diploblastic condition. So that means whole body, it is formed of two germ layers only. It is derived from two germ layers only, ectoderm and endoderm. In higher groups of animals, it is triploblast. Tri means three. So blast refers to germ. If the whole body is derived from three germ layers like ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm, so in that case you call it as triploblastic. For example, we humans, we are triploblastic individuals. Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes, all are triploblastic individuals. Only these coelenterate members are diploblastic individuals because their body is derived from ectoderm and endoderm. And if you see the body, okay, in section, it is formed of one body wall which surrounds a cavity called as a gastrovascular cavity or coelenteron, and then there is a mouth. So very simple body organization seen here. Now this body wall, it is formed of two layers. Don't get confused with the germ layer and the layer. Okay, so here germ layer is at the time after the formation of zygote, it undergoes the zygote undergoes cleavage and forms a large mass of cell. Okay, and then they arrange themselves. Okay, and usually after gastrulation you are going to see two definite layers of cells, each having its own potency anyway. So that is called as a germ, that means germ layer, which are capable of giving rise to more specialized cells in future, tissues in future maybe. So that is the germ layer. What I am talking now is a body wall. So if you take the section of a hydra for example, its body wall is formed of two layers of cells, just like recall in case of porifera. We have seen pinacocytes and the choanocytes. Pinacoderm and choanoderm was present. Here it is epidermis and the gastrodermis. Okay, and the epidermis, that is the outer layer. Okay, the outer layer is called as epidermis. For example, you see here in this picture. So this is the epidermis, the outer layer of cells. And then there is a second layer of cell, that is a gastrodermis. So this portion is called as gastrodermis. Why it is called as? See, derma means skin. Okay, so outer skin is called epidermis. The inner skin layer which lines the gastrovascular cavity. Gaster means stomach, isn't it? So gastrodermis means stomach skin. That's the literal meaning. But what it is exactly? So coelenteron, in case of Cnidaria, help in digestion. So it's a part of you can compare it with the digestive canal of higher animals. Since the digestion takes place here, the word gaster is used. Okay, that layer of cells which lines the gastrovascular cavity is the gastrodermis. That layer of cell which forms the outer covering of the body is the epidermis. So in case of these coelenterates, the body wall is formed of how many layers of cells? Two layers of cells. The outer layer is called epidermis and the inner layer is called gastrodermis. You won't call it as endodermis, you call it as gastrodermis. Okay, and in between these two, in between the epidermis and the gastrodermis, there is a layer, usually a acellular layer. Generally cells are not absent in case of coelenterata at least. So, this layer, middle layer, it is formed of a glue-like substance. Okay, some polysaccharides are present. So, glue-like substance is present. Since it is present in the middle of these two layers, it is called as a mesoglia, where again the term is derived from Greek. Mesos means middle, glia means glue. So, glue-like material present between the two layers of the body wall is called as mesoglia. That's a special feature in case of coelenterata. If you recall, it is called mesenchyme in case of porifera, but there it is formed of cells. There are cells, okay, amoebocytes were present and the fibroblasts were present. That's where the needles arrive. So, but here it is a acellular, generally a acellular layer formed of glue-like substance. Okay, that's why this layer is called as mesoglia. Okay, so that's about the body wall in case of coelenterata. Now, if you see each of the layers, first let's see the epidermis. Epidermis means the outer layer of the body. So, it's formed of different types of cells. Okay, so one of the type of cell is epitheliomuscle cells. Epitheliomuscle cells. Now, the name epitheliomuscle cell is because epithelium is a type of tissue in higher animals where it forms a covering. Okay, a covering tissue it is, forming a protective covering. Here we are saying it as epitheliomuscle cell. What is the property of muscle cells? They have contractile property. Okay, since these cells have both covering property and the contractile property, these cells are called as epitheliomuscle cells. Okay, and these epitheliomuscle cells, as the name itself says, are contractile in nature. Now, this contraction will help in elongating, stretching the body, okay, or contracting the body or showing some kind of movements, body movements. This can also be, when it is present in the gastrodermis, this can also help in digestion. So, for example, Hydra usually its length is some 1 centimeter long, a completely stretched one. But when it is totally disturbed, it will roll into a very small spherical structure. And the size of the Hydra then becomes this rava grain size. You can imagine the size. How it is possible? It is possible because of the contractile property of epitheliomuscle cells. So, epitheliomuscle cells here give a special nature to the body of these coelentrates, that it helps in contraction and relaxation. So, that's one of the very important feature what you can see in case of these coelentrates. Now, each of these epitheliomuscle cell is provided with the supporting fibrils. So, there are also the nucleus is present, then there is a nuclear membrane. See, there are muscle processes, okay, and supporting fibrils are present. They provide the contractile nature. The upper surface of this epithelial cell, it is like any normal cuboidal cell, okay, and some of them might be even secretory in nature too. That means they can secrete some mucus like substances. The next type of cell what you see is the gland cell. As the name itself says, they secrete some chemicals, secretions, some juices. And here mucus like sticky materials are secreted by these gland cells and they help in attachment. See, the body is in case of polypoid stage, they are attached to the substrate. So, they help in attachments. Not only that, they also help in feeding, entangling the prey. Okay. So, that's the second type of cell. The third type of cell what you find is the interstitial cell. Now, these are called as interstitial cells because they are present in between the other cells, in the epithelial, in the epidermal area, there are these epitheliomuscle cells, okay, and there are also gland cells. At the base of these cells, There are some small undifferentiated cells present. These are called as interstitial. Interstitial means in between. So interstitial cells are present. Now they are small, they are generally undifferentiated ones, and they can give rise to any other type. So they can differentiate later on and give rise to any other type of cell that body requires. So that means they have totipotency or totipotent in nature. Capability of a cell to differentiate into any type of specialized cell is totipotency. So here they have totipotency they are totipotency in nature. Okay, so the interstitial cells, as the name itself says, these are the cells that are present in between or at the base of different cells. Now we are going to see one of the special cell called as cnidoblast. Now here the name cnidoblast, as I said earlier, is from Greek, where cnid means nettle and blast means germ. Okay, and this is characteristic feature of Cnidaria or the Cnidaria members. Okay, and they are also, these cnidoblasts are also called as stinging cells because they can sting their prey or the predators. So that's why it is called as stinging cell, and these are abundant, a large number in their tentacles. So tentacles are again a feature of Cnidaria. So in these tentacles, a large number of cnidoblasts are present, and generally they will not be present as individual cells, but they will be present in clusters, in bundles. Okay, and those bundles are called as batteries. Those bundles are called as batteries. Okay, so charged batteries, those which are capable of paralyzing their prey or the predators. And now if you see a cnidoblast, each cnidoblast is somewhat oval in shape. Okay, and see, as you can see here, so they are oval in shape. Okay, and usually they have a nucleus at the base. So here you can see the nucleus at the base. But what is very important is they have a bag-like structure. See here, this one. A bag-like structure is present inside the cell. So this bag-like structure is called as a nematocyst. So whole of it anyway, nematocyst. Now this nematocyst has a capsule, okay, small bag filled with the fluid called it's called as capsule, and this bag or a capsule, it's filled with the fluid called as hypnotoxin. Hypno refers to sleep, toxin that induces sleep, you can say. Simply these chemicals are capable of paralyzing any animal, smaller animals for example. So they can paralyze them. For some time they can make them immovable. So, okay, so that's a property of this particular chemical. That's why it is named as hypnotoxin. And where this hypnotoxin is present? This hypnotoxin is present in the capsule part of the nematocyst. Nema refers to a thread, isn't it? Cyst, here the capsule-like. A capsule-like organoid that has a thread is called as a nematocyst. And this is nematocyst it is not a cell. See, it is not nematocyte. Here we are saying it as a nematocyst. So it is an organoid of cnidoblast. Cnidoblast is actually the cell, and its other name is stinging cell. Be clear about it. No confusions. So whole of it is cnidoblast. Only this portion, okay, with all its thread and all, is the nematocyst, and it is an organoid. And if you see very carefully, I said there is a capsule. Okay, so the capsule, sorry for that. So there is a capsule, and this is filled with the hypnotoxin. Then you can see that there is a long thread. That's why the name nematocyst, isn't it? So there is a thread, but this is not a simple thread. It is a tube-like thread. That means it is hollow at the center, and then there is a small pore anyway. Now this thread at the base, it has become broad. It has become broad, you see, and this broader portion is called as butt. Okay, the broader portion of the tube is called as butt. Now, let me take a different color. Now here, on this bud here, you can see the stylet. Spiny structures are present. There will be usually 3 such. 2 are visible here, 1 on the other side. So there are 3 such spiny structures are present, okay, on the bud. And then just above it, okay, there are spines. Okay, you can see that small spines. These spines are arranged in 3 spiral rows, spiral coiling. Okay, 3 spiral rows of spines are present. In addition to that, in a closed, okay, in an uncharged cnidoblast, this will be totally folded, okay, and here this it is closed by a lid-like structure called as operculum. You see here, a lid-like structure called as operculum. And extended from this is a small spiny structure called as a cnidocyll. Small tiny, hair-like, small hair-like structure called as a cnidocyll. Again, nid refers to nettle, and cyll, it is actually from psyllium, hair-like, very fine hair-like structure called as cnidocyll. It is also known as a trigger. Okay, so that is present in case on this particular cnidoblast. Okay, so that is the structure of cnidoblast. So it has a nucleus, cytoplasm is present, then there is a capsule, then there is a thread, okay, a tube thread, and base of it is called as the bud, and it is surrounded by the stylets, okay, three spiny structures, and just above it there are 3 spiral rows of spines, okay, and then there is also a cap, a lid, okay, that's called as operculum, and then there is a small fine hair like spiny structure called as cnidocyll is present, which is also known as a trigger. So when that trigger is pressed, okay, what happens? The operculum opens and the thread shoots out of the nematocyst, and then the hypnotoxin will be released on the body of any particular prey or predator. That's how it works. Okay, so that's about the cnidoblast, which is also known as stinging cell. Now what you are seeing here is the battery of nematocysts. Okay, and that means the cnidoblasts that are present. So in batteries, I said, see, they are present in clusters, in bundles. So that bundle is called as battery. Fine. Now what is the function of these cnidoblasts? This is a very important one. They are the organs of offense. Okay, they are also the organs of defense. They help in defending the body from the predators, okay, from their enemies. They are also organ of offense. They can attack any enemy by the help of these cnidoblasts. It also helps in food capture. I said it is a structure which releases hypnotoxin. That means this hypnotoxin can paralyze its prey, the food, okay, animal. It can paralyze it. So that means it helps in capturing the food. Not only that, in certain cases it also helps in anchorage, in attaching the body. So these are different functions of the special cell found in Cnidaria, cnidoblast. Now in addition to that, we also see special cells called as nerve cells, and please remember this, that the appearance of nerve cell happens for the first time in case of coelenterata. Okay, nerve cells which are capable of sending the signals. In porifera you don't find nerve cells, it's lacking, but in Cnidaria for the first time it appears. And this nerve cell, it is present in the form of a number of nerve cells. They are present in the form of a network throughout the body. So it's called as a nerve net, as you can see in the picture here. So it is like a network. You see here it is present like a network, like a web it is. So it is called as a nerve net. And each of these nerve cells, okay, they are provided with the neurites, like in higher neurons you find axons and dendrites. Here there is no such a differentiation, but you find neurites, some cytoplasmic projections that are passing out of that are extended from the body. These nerve cells are also connected with the sensory cells that help in perceiving the surrounding. Okay, so it helps in perception. And this concept of nervous tissue, nerve net, it appears for the first time in Cnidaria. And not only the nerve cell, the concept of tissue also comes for the first time in Cnidaria. Okay, because these cluster of cells, they coordinate with each other. They pass the signal from one cell to another cell by simple synaptic transmissions. So this is one more type of cell you find. That's about the epidermis, some of the cells we have discussed. Now going to gastrodermis, gastrodermis is also similar to epidermis because some of the cells are similar but with a different function, with slightly different functions, and you want to find cnidoblast in the gastrodermis, that's the main difference. And here there we saw epithelial muscle cells. Here, since they are present in the inner line, they are called as endothelial muscle cells, and their function is also similar to these epithelial muscle cells. Okay, but now here there is no addition function. Additional function is that they are nutritive in nature. Okay, there it was protective and contractile in nature. Here they are contractile and they are nutritive in nature. That means they help in absorbing the food. They absorb the partially digested food in the gastrovascular cavity. The food will be absorbed through the by means of food vacuoles, and further intracellular digestion takes place in these nutritive cells. So that's a special thing about these endothelial muscle cells. And then there are also endothelial gland cells. Remember, there were gland cells in the epidermis. I said they secrete mucus like substances. Here too there are cells, but here there is a differentiation. Some of the gland cells secrete enzymes that are necessary for both extracellular digestion and sometimes even intracellular digestion. So they help in digestion, these enzymes, and the enzymes are secreted by the gland cells, some specialized gland cells. And then there are always mucus secreting cells too. So mucus secreting gland cells and enzymatic gland cells are two types of gland cells you find in the gastrodermis. Now I will skip on telling about the gastrovascular cavity. So here we have the actual picture of it. So this cavity, okay, this cavity that is present in Cnidaria is called as gastrovascular cavity. So why the name gastrovascular cavity? Gaster means stomach. Now where the digestion of the food takes place in the stomach, isn't it? Or gut you can say. Since here the digestion takes place in this cavity, it is a gaster. It is also vascular. Vascular means where the transport of the material takes place. Now, for example, blood is a vascular system in our, vascular tissue. So here transportation of material takes place within this cavity. Okay, digestion and transport takes place here within this cavity. Since the transportation takes place within this cavity, it is called as a vascular cavity. It is a vascular cavity. Okay, and since digestion takes place, it is gaster. Transportation takes place vascular. So the whole name is gastrovascular cavity. And the other name for it is coelenteron. Cele, cavity, enteron means gut. Again for its digestive property. Okay, and this cavity, gastrovascular cavity, but please don't get confused with the spongiocele. Spongiocele is also a cavity of the sponges. How it is different? It is different because the spongiocele, it's not filled with the digestive juices and all. Okay, it is purely filled with the surrounding water, the sea water, for example, one thing. And then it doesn't have a mouth. The ostium, numerous pores are present through which the materials enter, water fluid enters. And through the opening called as osculum, the fluid is thrown out. Okay, so it is not a gastrovascular cavity there. Here it is a gastrovascular cavity, and this cavity, you can consider this as a very simple digestive canal. Okay, it is equivalent to, it is analog to the digestive canal of higher animals. And a digestive canal always opens by a mouth, so there is a mouth. But this doesn't have an anus. So digestive system or a structure, okay, it is incomplete with only mouth. And if you see, this leads to a bag, a blind bag. Okay, so there is no other opening, only one opening, that is the mouth. So food should be taken here from this, through this opening, and once digestion is done, it should be thrown out through the same opening. So mouth is going to act like both mouth and anus, and since it is like a blind bag, this body plan of Coelenterata is called as blind sac body plan. See, there is another type, tube within a tube body plan, where there is both mouth and anus. But here there is only mouth, no anus. So this type of body plan is called blind sac body plan. Okay. So that's about the gastrovascular cavity. So gastrovascular cavity is the cavity of Coelenterata, which opens outside by means of mouth, only mouth, and this is the cavity where the digestion takes place. So that's why the name gastrovascular cavity. Not only digestion, even transportation of material also takes place through this cavity. So that's all for today's session. We will continue with the general features of Coelenterata in our next session. Let's see how much you have understood. My first question is, nematocysts are found in. Okay, so are they found in Annelida, Ascahelminthes, Platyhelminthes or Coelenterata? I am sure this is a lollipop question and I am sure you are having your answer, and the right answer is D, Coelenterata. The next question is, cnidoblasts are also called, okay, are they called as choanocytes, collar cells, stinging cells or scleroblast? Recall all your previous sessions and you will be having your answer. The answer is stinging cells. Next, the type of symmetry found in Cnidaria. So what kind of symmetry is found? Is it radial, bilateral, biradial or spherical? And the answer is, it is radial symmetry. That's why the name radiata. Okay. The internal cavity of Cnidaria or Coelenterata is spongiocele, coelentron, schizocele or enterocele. And the right answer is B, coelentron. That's why the name Coelenterata. The last question, chemical present in nematocyst, the fluid, okay, in the nematocyst. Is it silica? Is it lime? Is it seractin or hypnotoxin? The right answer is, yes, you are right, it is hypnotoxin. And let's summarize today's session. So, due to the presence of cnidoblast, Cnidaria is the name given to this phylum. The presence of gastrovascular cavity gives the name coelentron. Gastrovascular cavity is called coelentron, hence the name Coelenterata. All the members are aquatic, mostly they are marine and some are freshwater. Symmetry is radial, they show cell tissue grade of organization. Cnidoblast and gastrovascular cavity are special features. Even the nerve net is a special feature of Coelenterata. And all my contents, all the images that are used in this PPT are from Kotpal RL textbook. Thank you.